4 bullets ripped right through his coat. 2 horses were shot dead right beneath him. Yet, he walked away without a single scratch. This wasn't a movie superhero. This was George Washington. But the most shocking part? After winning the ultimate war, he was offered the chance to become the absolute King of America. The people worshipped him. The crown was right there for the taking. But instead of seizing ultimate power, he did something that shocked the entire world. He walked away. Who was this man who chose democracy over a royal crown? To understand his mind, we have to go back to where it all began. Long before he became a legend, long before his face was printed on the dollar bill, George Washington's life was defined by struggle. Born into a modest farming family in Virginia, his world shattered at just 11 years old when his father passed away. While other founding fathers were sent to elite universities in England to study law and philosophy, Washington was forced to stay behind. He had no formal higher education, no rich inheritance, and no grand path laid out for him. He had to grow up fast, learning to survive on sheer grit and self-discipline in a harsh, unforgiving colonial world. By the age of 18, Washington wasn't sitting in a classroom. He was braving the wild, uncharted American frontier. Working as a land surveyor, he traveled deep into the dangerous wilderness of Western Virginia. For months, he slept under the stars, battled freezing weather, dodged wild predators, and negotiated with Native American tribes. This brutal, rugged lifestyle transformed the farm boy into a hardened survivalist. It gave him an intimate, unmatched knowledge of the American terrain, a knowledge that would later change the course of military history. Fate took a dramatic turn when his older brother tragically died, leaving Washington to inherit a massive estate known as Mount Vernon. Almost overnight, his status flipped. He married a wealthy widow named Martha, and together they became one of the richest couples in the colonies. Washington became a master planter, experimenting with crops, breeding innovative livestock, and building a massive business empire. He finally had the perfect, wealthy, peaceful life he always wanted. But the dark clouds of tyranny were brewing across the ocean, ready to rip him away from paradise. Before he fought the British, Washington actually fought for them. In his early 20s, he joined the military and was sent to stop the French from invading British territory. But his first major command turned into an absolute disaster. Ambushed in a rainy forest, Washington's forces were overwhelmed, forcing him to sign a humiliating surrender. Unwittingly, this young colonial officer had just sparked a global conflict known as the 7 Years' War. Yet, despite the defeat, his unmatched bravery under fire made him a household name across the American colonies. As the British Empire began choking the American colonies with heavy taxes and military oppression, the spark of rebellion ignited. The colonies needed a leader to fight back against the greatest empire on earth. In 1775, the Continental Congress met in Philadelphia. While other politicians wore fancy civilian suits, Washington walked into the room wearing his full military uniform. His message was silent but crystal clear. He was ready to fight. Impressed by his stature and stoic confidence, they unanimously appointed him commander-in-chief of the new, ragtag American Army. The war began terribly. Washington's army was untrained, starving, and constantly retreating. By December 1776, morale was dead, and the revolution was on the brink of total collapse. With his men barefoot in the snow, Washington made a desperate, insane gamble. On a freezing Christmas night during a violent blizzard, he led his men across the icy Delaware River for a surprise attack. It was a suicidal move, but against all odds, they caught the enemy off guard and won a miraculous victory, instantly reviving the dying flame of American independence. For 8 long, grueling years, Washington outmaneuvered and outlasted the British military machine. He didn't win every battle, but he mastered the art of survival. Finally, in 1781, with the help of French allies, Washington trapped the main British army at Yorktown. Surrounded and blasted by artillery, the British Empire finally broke. They lowered their weapons and surrendered. Against all odds, a makeshift army of farmers and merchants, led by a self-taught general, had just defeated the most powerful empire in human history. With the war won, Washington held absolute power. His soldiers wanted to march on Congress and make him King George I of America. King George III of England famously said that if Washington gave up power, he would be the greatest man in the world. And that's exactly what he did. He resigned his commission and went back to his farm. But the new nation couldn't survive without him. In 1789, he was pulled back into service and elected as the first president of the United States, the only president in history to be chosen completely unanimously. After serving 2 terms, Washington did the unthinkable yet again. He stepped down voluntarily, setting a strict limit on executive power that defines American democracy to this day. He retired to Mount Vernon, passing away in 1799 at the age of 67. George Washington wasn't a perfect man, but he was the indispensable man. He was first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen. He built a nation not with a royal scepter, but with the power of restraint. What do you think is the most shocking part of his journey? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more historical epics.